Hello again, and welcome to another episode of I Want to Talk About This Album. And today, I'm going to talk about Death Angel, Act 3. And this is not quite the first time I've talked about Death Angel. Before I rebranded this show as, or this series as I Want to Talk About This Album, and you have to do this when you mention. I know sometimes a lot of you are talking to your friends and telling them that you watch this show. And just make sure, as a reminder, when you talk about it, make sure you always do this when you say, I want to talk about this album. Before it was rebranded as I Want to Talk About This Album, when I called it I Love This Album, I talked about Death Angel Frolic Through the Park. I think maybe it was not during that first incarnation of the show. I'm not sure. But in any case, I will treat today as the first time I'm talking about Death Angel, which means it's going to be a little bit longer because I'm going to include my Death Angel history. Now, this album is, I will say, hold on, I'm getting out of order already. This is one of these albums, like, I did Faster Pussycat, the first album, last week, and I mentioned that, I'm not sure if that's my favorite or Wake Me When It's Over, their second record. I'm not sure which is my favorite. When I listen to the first, I think, no, this is my favorite. Then when I listen to Wake Me When It's Over, no, this is my favorite. And it's the same with, for a while, I was like that with And Justice for All and Master of Puppets. Couldn't decide which was my favorite. And there was another one that I did recently. I can't remember what it was, but where I'm not sure which is my favorite. And it's always on back-to-back records too. Death Angel, I'm not sure if Frolic Through the Park or Act 3 is my favorite. And I love the Ultraviolence, and I got into Death Angel in that era when they were a brand new young band. But to me, Frolic Through the Park was way better than Ultraviolence. And Act 3 was, pretty much on the same level. So going back a little bit, I did get into Death Angel in their first album, Frolic Through the Park, and I do have a few props today. Here's the first one. This is the first time I saw Death Angel live, and I should mention too, as I'm recording this today for me, this won't be up until sometime, whenever you're watching this, sometime in the week. But today is Sunday, April 14th. Death Angel played it in Mexico City last night. So this is kind of what inspired me to talk about this record today. They played in Mexico City last night. And the first time I saw them was August 15th, all the way back in 1987. This was with Sacrifice, For Determination, and The Ones I Condemn. You know that band. And Savage Steel, which was another local Toronto band. So I saw Death Angel in 1987 on the Ultraviolence tour. I was 17. I think the guys in Death Angel, I think at that time they were around my same age, and maybe they're still around the same age as me now. I'm not sure what happened, but they were young guys. I think the drummer at the time, Andy Gallion, I think he was 14, or maybe he was 14 when they recorded the Ultraviolence, so maybe he was 15 then. But they were, I think, the oldest. I don't know if Rob Cavastani was the oldest. Maybe he was at that time 19. But they were young lads anyway. A young Death Angel. So I saw them then, and then I saw them again 2 years later. A little bit over a year later. Thursday, October 6, 1988, at the Siboney Club, which was a cool place in Toronto with Rigor Mortis, according to this ticket stub. This is Rob Cavastani's signature there. And on the back, that's Andy Gallion. I think I met those guys. And I remember when I went to this show, this is on the Frolic Through the Park tour, and I really, really wanted to buy the shirt. I had the Ultraviolence shirt from 87, and I wanted to get the shirt this time from Frolic Through the Park, and they were sold out of them. I think by the time they got to Toronto, I think they were all sold at that point, or I don't know if they had problem getting across the border, which happens sometimes. But in any case, they had no shirts at that time. And Andy Gallion, the drummer, he gave me, and I still had this piece of paper until I think, maybe I still have it somewhere. He wrote me down a little piece of paper. He said, I'm going to give you the address. If you write this address, they can take care of you. It was Death Angel. I guess they're, I don't know who it was, but in somewhere in San Francisco. And I never did get that shirt. So that was 88, and then I saw them again in, what was the date here? Friday, December 29th, 1989, so 87, 88, 89. The thing I remember about this show is how fucking cold it was. This was one of the coldest nights that I ever remember. If you go back and look at weather records, maybe it'll show that it wasn't the coldest night. But and this is a place called the Concert Hall in Toronto, which is one of my favorite concert venues ever. And you used to wait in line to get in. We used to stand outside on Yonge Street and throw pennies at cars as they drove by, and chant 1, 2, 3, 4, open up the fucking door, because it was so cold, everybody wanted to go inside. And there was a really bad snowstorm either that night or the night that day or the day before, and a couple of these bands, COC, you can see it's Death Angel, COC, Razor, Ludachrist, who later became Scatterbrain, Gothic Slam, and Blessed Death, or Blessed Death. At least one of them, I think it was for sure COC didn't show up, I think because of weather issues, and also Gothic Slam, or one of the Blessed Death. I remember Ludachrist, the singer, what's his name, Tommy something, he was talking about how bad the weather was. He said something like, we started as a 5-piece band, but now we're a 4-piece band because we lost one in the snowstorm or something like this. But anyway, Death Angel, I saw them on this tour in '89 to a very empty concert hall in Toronto. That place held about 2,000 people. I couldn't even guess how many people were there, but it was a few hundred anyway. It was very, very empty, but remember that was an excellent show. And then the most recent time I saw Death Angel was in Mexico City in 2008 or 2009. I don't have the ticket for that. They played with, it was Death Angel, Voivod, Joey Belladonna, Gravedigger, can't remember, but that was a long, long time ago. Last time I saw Death Angel, and I would love to see them again, but I don't want to go see them at a festival. The show they were playing last night was Anthrax, Overkill, Death Angel, Amorphis, and a bunch of other bands that I don't care about, and it was expensive, and for other reasons I didn't go. But that's my Death Angel history. Now, when this album came out in 1990, and here it is, Act 3. When this came out in 1990, they were a very, very different band. Same guys, but their music was very, very different. They were pure thrash on the Ultraviolence, young guys, and looking back on it now, and even kind of maybe I even realized a little bit back then, it was kind of immature. And as I've often said, especially with thrash bands, the first album, a lot of people would consider the Anthrax, Megadeth, Slayer, Metallica, Overkill, Death Angel, even, I don't know about Exodus. I know a lot of people consider the first one the best of a lot of those bands. I think for all of them, the first wasn't necessarily their worst, not Metallica anyway, but it was pretty clear that they were young guys, didn't maybe really know what they were doing. And then they maybe matured is the word, and Frolic Through the Park was a big, big step up, I think in many ways from the Ultraviolence, and this was an even bigger step up from Frolic Through the Park than Frolic Through the Park was over the Ultraviolence, I think. And I remember thinking at the time, if at this point, if the name Death Angel, if that was kind of holding them back, because at this time in 1990, Metallica was pretty big, Slayer, Anthrax, that kind of heavy music, thrash metal was really burgeoning, maybe is the word that I'm looking for. And I thought Death Angel could have been a part of that scene, or that maybe shared in that success, if not for their name. I felt that their name was a little bit too strong, I think, for a lot of people, and maybe that held them back. And also, sorry to say, but maybe the fact that they're Filipino, that didn't bother me, because I was a fucking huge Death Angel fan and still am. But I think maybe people weren't accepting of a Filipino American band. But I thought this album should have been, I don't like it when people say this album should have been huge. Who are we to say that? It's kind of stupid and pointless. But I feel like this album would have been bigger if not for the name, just because it was such great songs, and it was much more. It was still very, very heavy as Frolic Through the Park and the Ultraviolence, but it was much more melodic. I think it was more thoughtful, more musical, however you want to say it, but not deserving of the or more deserving of I think what it got had it not been for the name Death Angel. Did I explain that properly or not? I'm not sure. So there it is, Death Angel Act 3. I feel like I'm wrapping it up, but I'm just getting started. So I guess I can talk about this now. And this was on Geffen Records. It was their only, and that was another reason why I thought they were, wow, they're on a major label now, and they're heading towards the same, or on the same path as, well, not quite as big as Metallica, but at least you could think they were like Anthrax and Slayer. But They never did, and then this was pretty much their last album for years. They were The Organization after that, and which was very, very different than Death Angel. Anyway, so I will go through this track by track now. This is one of these, The Who. I got The Who, Who's Next, 6 months ago or last year or something, and it was part of the same series, Music on Vinyl. It's just a generic hype sticker. It doesn't say anything about the band or this record. It just says classic album, 180 gram audiophile, vinyl pressing, music on vinyl. There it is. And they come in these sealed, kind of a heavier plastic. It's not like cellophane. It's like a slipcase, which I throw in the garbage. I didn't keep the one. I don't want to keep a record in plastic. Who cares? So there it is. And I did not have this on vinyl at the time. I only had the CD, and I have the CD over here. I meant to bring it. I just realized that I forgot. So there it is. It's a pretty cool album cover, I guess. And let's see what's inside. It's in this nice, I don't know what this packaging is, like an anti-static or something. And a separate, lyric sleeve. All right, it's got that funny looking thing, and then the lyrics here. Perfect. This is all I asked for. It's got the lyrics here. And a photo of each of the guys in Death Angel: Rob Cavestany, Gus Pepa, Dennis Pepa, Andy Gallion, the aforementioned Andy Gallion, and the great Mark Osegueda, who is now singing for Kerry King's solo band. He's the star of that show. Mark Osegueda is the star, I think, of that Kerry. It's Kerry King. He's from Slayer. But my God, Mark Osegueda steals that show. They just put a new song this week called... what's it called? I can't remember. It was one word title, but excellent. I liked it a lot. I'm kind of looking forward to that Kerry King record. So going through this track by track, the first song is Seemingly Endless Time. This is like classic, I think, Death Angel. It's not like pure thrash, I think, like some of their other songs. Mistress of Pain and Kill Is One and Evil Priest, Voracious Souls, Final Death, but still quite thrashy. But with a little bit of, as I said, that a little bit more of the maturity, drifting on an endless sea, on our way to nowhere, oblivious to our destiny, slowly drifting on and on and on, wander far, way too far, trapped in a timeless void, changing with the shifting wind, never can see an end, no end. Great song. I would imagine if you're a real thrash fan, this one would probably be your favorite. Thrash bands typically back then and maybe now always open with the real fast, and close too with one of the fastest, heaviest songs. It's a real vague story, impossible to perceive, a seemingly endless time. Next is Stop! Drifting fool, the truth I must bestow in you. Many times I've seen men as you, and I've smashed their dreams. Reason of no cause, besides on myself, set the laws. You won't be set free from eternal fears implanted by me. Feeding off his hand, as if he was your master, serving his demands. I want to talk about it. And then this song in general had a lot of really, and I think this is one of the things that set it apart, really cool backing vocals. And I've talked about it before. I used to love the Anthrax and Overkill. They had those shouting backing vocals. My friends and I used to shout at each other, when we were talking about these songs. And Death Angel had a little bit more on Frolic Through the Park than Ultraviolence, and much more in this one. Much more melodic backing vocals, including on this. I want to talk about it. Yeah, I want to talk about it. All right, yeah, and Stop. That's another kind of a not quite thrashy, but very fast, heavy, thrashy song. In stark contrast is the next one, which is Veil of Deception. This is pure acoustic. I always love this song. Maybe the true thrashers would have hated Veil of Deception. Clearly not a ballad, but it is an acoustic song, and there's another one here that's even better. Veil of Deception, and by the way, I love every song on this album. I should make it clear how much I love this album. Yeah, Veil of Deception is very, very, very unlike Death Angel. This is maybe the most obvious example of them being so much different than they were on Frolic Through the Park, and especially on from the Ultraviolence. Affectation was an early sign of a twisted mind. All virtues had faded away. Apprehension made her cold, but warm she was inside. A child within her died and left her with a heart of stone. Inner feelings were a neutral zone. Surface anger was a thin disguise, but at night she cries, behold the pain in her eyes. And some great backing vocals there, Rob Cavestany, and maybe Dennis Papa too. Behold the pain in her eyes. Degradation was a grind, her true self left behind. Compassion you will find, hidden by a veil of deception. And so the story goes. That's the way she chose to live her life. Does anybody know? The way it feels when she hurt inside. She's running from herself, the game of life in which she played. That's a great, great song. I would say I like that one. Of the three so far, that's my favorite, even though the first two are great. Next is The Organization. Within the depths of darkness, amidst elusive fog, you feel there waits a path to nowhere, forthright be stepped upon, walking through the heinous forest, the panic and rush of fright. She feels them coming nearer. Therein will lead the right. Is it therein? Hereon will lead the right. And great backing vocals too. Shadows overwhelm her soul, exceeding anxiety. Their shadows overwhelm her soul, thicken obscurity. Organized to control. Another great one. Oh, I see that Andy Gallion wrote the lyrics for that one and co-wrote the music with Rob Cavestany. Next is Discontinued. Discontinued, I will say, is it's not just my favorite song on this record. It's my favorite Death Angel song out of all of them. I don't know if it's too bold to say that it's one of the greatest thrash songs ever. And it's not true thrash like some of the ones on the Ultraviolence. I'm referencing that album a lot. But oh my God, Discontinued has everything I like about music, especially about this kind of music. Not beginning with, something very notable for me that I love about this song is in the middle part, it gets kind of quiet. Again, maybe with the maturity, they don't slow it down, but they quiet it down a little bit. And there's a kind of a twin axe attack, I think a lot of people would say, some dueling guitar solos. But instead of, I don't know if it's Rob Cavestany playing them both, or if it's Rob and Gus playing, at the same time. But instead of one little solo here, another solo here, they're kind of overlapping each other. So as one is finishing, the other one is starting. And so they're kind of going like this, and they go back and forth for, 40 seconds or something. Great solo. Now this song, it's got this big drum intro. It sounds kind of like, it's very non-thrash metal. It's very, it sounds kind of jammy, improv. And it's got all kinds of different parts. It does everything. Even a little bit funky. It's got a little bit of, I wouldn't say it's slap bass, but it's got a cool funky bass break in there. Blurs of Beauty. No, is it that one? Yeah, Blurs of Beauty have passed me by. Scenes have flashed inside my mind. Remembered spaces and memory alive, forever moving onwards. An endless space within you are, or all. Black hopeless hole, feelings are sparse. Seems your goal has gone, devotion wanders far. And then the big yelling backing vocals. Gone, devotion wanders. Take the world back on your past. And then it gets a little bit heavier. Oh my God, Discontinued is incredible song. That's how I like music. Got so many, and I feel like it almost could be longer. It's almost, I think it's around 6 minutes. I want to say it's 5:52. Sometimes you remember song lengths. I want to say Discontinued is 5:52. Wrong side. $5.50. I was close. I feel like it could be longer, and it's a long intro too. I think it must be close to 2 minutes, maybe even over 2 minutes before they get to the vocals. And then the last verse is just shouting on. Rob Cavestany sings, is it? No, sorry, it's Stagnant. I think he sings more. But the backing vocals on the final verse on this are, the conclusion provoke, the end don't wait. resolution, do it now, rearrange, discontinued, and make the change. Just these yelling, shouting, backing vocals. It's fantastic. And I'm rambling. I'm getting tired of myself. I can just imagine how anybody feels if you're watching this. So on the second side, if you flip this over, the first song is "Room with a View." Again, kind of a not a ballad at all, but it is again another acoustic song. And again, it shouldn't have. I'm not saying it should have been a hit, but I just think like maybe if another band had done it, it would have been much more successful. And I remember there was a video for it. It didn't get as much play as "Bored" from Frolic Through the Park. But A Room with a View is great, and that's largely Rob Cavestany singing on it. Lead, and has one of my favorite, I don't have a list of favorite guitar solos, but often when I hear songs, I think, oh man, I love this guitar solo, including, now this one has two, it has an acoustic solo, and then later an electric. They're both great, but the acoustic one is the one I'm talking about. It's just incredible. And they recently, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, did a purely, truly acoustic version on, they did like an EP called what was it called? I think it was Under Pressure. I was going to say Under Covers. And they did a cover of the Queen David Bowie song, Under Pressure. It's one of the greatest covers I've ever heard. And a new version of A Room with a View that's just incredible song. And maybe they lost some thrash fans with Room with a View and Veil of Deception. Not me. The fuck was that? Not me. Because I think those two songs, Room with a View and Veil of Deception, are two of the greatest songs on this record. So next is Stagnant. This is again very, very Undeath Angel-like. The guitar that comes in as the vocals come in, it's kind of funky. It actually reminds me a little bit of maybe something the Red Hot Chili Peppers would have played in the Mother's Milk era. Kind of a fast, funky guitar. Yeah, I need someone to live for, something to die for, because this crazy life is getting to me. Don't want to play the part of a man with a broken heart. Somebody help me find a way to release the aggression inside. Then it gets heavy. Then it gets funky again. And it's so cold. It's so cold in this lonely, lonely room, sitting around thinking of you, and I'm alone, just talking to myself, trying to find the answers, but to no avail. Never moving, never changing. And then Marcus Asagata, I think, comes in with blank stares at the blank wall, drill a deep hole in my empty soul, forever moving, forever changing. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, life is just a game, they say, but what if I don't want to play no more? Such a high price to pay. Just get away, come inside or get away from that door. And then again, it gets it gallops a little, gets very heavy. This one reminds me of Discontinued, just because it has so many different parts to it. Forever moving, forever changing. Yeah, excellent. Next is XTC. It's EX-TC. I guess like it's a clever way of saying ecstasy. And this just comes in, boom, and hits you right away. Black! Black covers the mass. The mist is so dense, it's soothing to breathe. Very, very heavy song. And a good one, too. I don't know if I'm going to recite any more lyrics. I'm getting a little bit tired of that. Disturbing the Peace is next. This is punky, similar to Why You Do This on Frolic Through the Park. I think especially the vocal, Mark Asagata's vocal, the way he sings the lyrics in this is... it sounds like it could be a Suicidal Tendencies, or it sounds like a Mike Muir style vocal delivery on Disturbing the Peace. That's a heavier, faster up-tempo song. And then the last song is Falling Asleep. I'm not sure what's going on. Can't seem to cope. I've gone beyond. For a while, this is my favorite song. I think when I first had this album, Falling Asleep, which is the last song, mercifully was my favorite. It's got that cool middle section, really slow and heavy. Rockabye baby in the treetop. When the night wind blows, it's time to rock. A life with no breaks. The child will fall. Down will come baby. No one cares at all. And Mark Asagata just screams that. Yeah, that's a good one. I have nothing else to say. Maybe maybe I need a break from doing these videos. I get so excited about the music, and then I start talking about it, and I feel like I'm just totally failing. My words can't express how much I love some of these records, especially I've talked about some good ones. The last three, this one, Temple of the Dog, and Faster Pussycat, the first one. Can't remember what was for that. These are really, really top ones. Yeah, and this one is very good. And this is from 1990, and it's by a great band called Death Angel, and it is Act 3.